Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about the myth and reality of innovation. It's kind of how we view innovation and why it's important, how we build innovative organizations and those type of organizations. So one of the things we always think about is like these are organizations that are innovative companies, and sometimes we'll say, well, we can't do this. We're in the government. We can't do these things. These guys can because they're in the commercial setting, but I don't think that's true. And probably people in this room bear that witness to that. Here's some of the myths that we see. We think like it's the eureka moment. It's a lone genius. It's this person working long hours. It's the apple falling from the tree. But in reality, these really are myths. These are the popular culture way we view innovation, and it's just not true. It's not how real innovation really happens. It happens in a lot of different ways, and a lot of things happen. So the first thing, obviously, are ideas. How do we get our ideas? Where do our ideas come from? How do those things form, and where do they come over time? It's not necessarily this like spark and inspiration and things like that. That can happen. But in reality, and what brain science is finding is that ideas are really networks. So when an idea fires in your brain, it's not this one localized thing in your brain. It's a bunch of branches that reach out and find those things. What they're also finding is that a lot of times before an innovation happens, it's only part of an idea. It's an incomplete thing and it needs something else to make it a full idea. So there's this idea that you just don't really have. I got half the hunch. And then a lot of times, ideas take a lot of time. Like Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the internet, or the World Wide Web, essentially, it took him over 10 years to come up with that idea of how the web would work. And so it happens over that. And then a lot of times, we really don't figure out things until we break them, until we find out that something doesn't work. And that's when we start finding the ideas breaking through to us and the experimentation and those things. So one of the first things that we have to think about when we're building organizations around that is creating experimentation and doing those things and trying new things. That's the only way we will get to the point where we can do that. So in the conversation is, how do I build an innovative organization? Well, these are some of the things that we do, and in a moment I'm going to talk about some of those other things, and these are the kind of the basis of the conversation that you need to start having. So the first thing is design so you maximize connection between people and ideas. So it's about creating an environment where people can share ideas so that their half of an idea can become a full idea, so that people can talk through what's happening to them and those type of things, so that they're connected to people. The other thing is build incubators for ideas. If you're interested, talk to me afterwards about this neonatal incubator they have in Africa that was made out of car parts. It's really kind of cool. These are the ideas that we're talking about. The other thing is fostering creativity and experimentation. Make an environment so people can experiment, can make mistakes, can try new things. They can take chances. And that's a hard thing in government, as we all know, because we don't like to take chances. Okay, so here's the but wait moment, right? So I can do all these things, Brian, that's great, but how do I motivate my people? And that's the other component of it. How do you get your people? Because that's the key to your innovation, right? How do you get the people to do the great things? And the one thing that's really a good answer to you is really the money doesn't matter. It's really not going to help you. And there's been studies done that when people have this money attached to it, that actually can harm cognitive skill. So there's Dan Pink writes a book called Motivate or Drive. It's about a motivation. One of the things he talks about is autonomy, letting people do what they want to do and work on projects that they care about. So it's like the Google's 20% time and those things. Letting people master their skills, work over and over and over on something that they find passionate about, that they can find their skills and be good at. And so that's one of the things that's really important, is you let people keep working at these skills so they master their skills. And then the most important thing, or for government, is purpose. What is the purpose? And the drive behind it, they kind of use this in the example of Apple, is Steve Jobs always talked about putting a ding in the world. Well, that's the purpose of those things. But beyond anything, the biggest thing that you need to think is that the innovators ship and the dreamers don't. Your ideas are not enough. You need to execute on your projects and make something, push something out into the world. Thank you very much.